In the last 6 months, I've helped over 1,000 artists secure placements on Spotify without getting a single bot stream until I got this message in my Instagram DMs. One of my clients said, "The promotion I paid you to do is not real listeners and it's jeopardizing my Spotify account." And then he sent a couple screenshots from his distributor. The first says that Spotify has detected a significant number of artificial streams on the tracks below. It lists the song and it says, "Your track is still live, but you should take the following steps to protect yourself from artificial streaming." That's really scary, right? And so when he clicks the Learn More button, it lists a few scenarios as to why this might have happened. And in that list, it says that you might have hired a promo service that promises playlists, and that's the reason that you're getting artificial streams. So of course, he reached out to me and was very concerned, and I was concerned too. As someone who has done thousands of Spotify playlisting campaigns and is confident of what me and my team can do, I actually jumped to a different conclusion first and thought, hey, something that also can happen is that if an artist is starting out and they're going from a small number of streams and suddenly they're getting an influx of thousands of brand new listeners that they never had before, some distributors have an algorithm that sees that as a red flag, even though the marketing is good. And the same thing happens even if you have a viral post on TikTok. It's just looking at the difference. You were at 0 streams before, now you're getting thousands suddenly overnight. This is probably fake because the distributor wants to err on the side of caution. And so that's what I told him. I said, if this is from your distributor, you can ignore it. They just see the massive departure from your stream counts before, and an automated algorithm sends you this template message. But then I say, if you'd like, I can do a real analysis for you for the playlists you were placed on. Just let me know, my friend. Because obviously this was just a guess. I have no way of knowing without actually looking at the playlists again and actually looking at all of the playlists that he's placed on. And so he says, yes, please do a real analysis. And I just tell him, shoot me over the playlist links and I'll run it through my paid analysis tools. And I'll show you these tools. I love using them because it's so detailed and you can see everything about a playlist so you can know if it's good and bad. And I'm going to show you everything that I know about how to analyze a playlist in this video. And so he does that. He sends me a screenshot of his current playlist placements, and I can see that he is basically in 3 playlists right here. And when I start checking the notes from his campaign, because we did successfully get him on playlists, I did notice that one of the playlists was actually not one that we've ever seen before, and it's not one that our team placed him on. It was a mystery to us, and I let him know, I'm working on this for you, but there's one important note. The Rockin' Party Anthems playlist is not our playlist. Are you using another additional service other than us? And he said, no, I assumed it was through you. And then I asked him a few follow-up questions like, have you used Submit Hub, or did you click any button on your distributor that says pitch me to playlists? Because on DistroKid, on some other distributors, they do have these built-in pitching services that are free sometimes. But if you look at the Reddit threads, if you Google DistroKid playlist scam, you'll see that so many people have been added to bots through their distributor. And so this is always another thing that I check up on, because already I'm starting to connect the dots. There's a playlist I don't recognize. I know that I did good work. I'm going to double check it, but I know that my team is solid and we check all of our playlists. And I'm pretty confident that when I double check it, nothing is going to suddenly change. And so he says, I'm using DistroKid, not familiar with the pitch button, so he didn't do any of that, okay? So he did nothing wrong, and I'm going to just double check that we didn't do anything wrong either. So I took some time. It took about 30 minutes, and I completed the analysis for all of the playlists, the 2 that we got him on, and the mystery playlist that I did not recognize. And of course he said, I just fear that Spotify will delete me. And that's a legitimate fear. The reason why we built our service on making certain that you'll never get on a bot playlist is because Spotify does take down songs, penalize artists who do basically scam Spotify out of royalties. That's what bots do, right? It runs up your stream count, yes, but Spotify needs to pay out the royalties to the songwriters and the artists who get those streams. And if they're not from real humans, it's diluting the royalty pool. It's paying out royalties that Spotify doesn't want to pay out because they're they're not from real users. And so here's what I sent him. I used a couple tools. These are screenshots that are pretty small, but I'm going to actually bring up the actual tool so that we can look at it together very closely. So this is the first tool that I love to use for playlist analysis. It's called Spot on Track. And the reason why I like it so much is because it has this historical follower count growth for the playlist that goes back months, sometimes years. So I usually click the all button and it zooms out, and I am looking for any significant drops in the follower count because Spotify does do account cleanups periodically. If a playlist is built with fake users, those cleanups are going to cause the follower count to drop on that playlist. And I've seen it time and time again. In fact, I'll throw up an image of a really bad example of a playlist curator who is basically just battling these drops, right? They add a whole bunch of bots to a playlist. Spotify cleans out the bots, and so the followers drop again. And then they run more bots to get the followers back up because they're trying to continue this scheme. And then Spotify removes the bots again. And you can kind of see like a zigzag in the follower count. So anytime I see that the follower growth is smooth, that's already a great sign because there are very specific dates that correlate across all bot playlists because those are the dates of the Spotify cleanup days, right? It's like literally, it's the same day across all bot playlists. So it's almost like the fingerprint of a bot. And I am not seeing that here in the follower growth line. So that's already a great start. The second screenshot I sent him was from a site called Artist Tools. And this is something I highly recommend because it goes even further in some ways. It's missing other features that Spot on Track has. That's why I subscribe to both on their pro plan, and I'm getting a lot of great data from each and using both of these tools to perform my analysis. So I put in the same playlist link, and you've probably noticed that this artist is a hard rock artist, right? So this is the same playlist. And the cool thing about Artist Tools is that it has its own AI that's crunching the data behind the scenes, and it gives every playlist a badge. And right at a glance, I can see that this playlist is likely bot free. So that's really good. It uses 4 different indicators and 0 of them are flagging the potential for bots. So this is really good. Another thing too is it shows the country breakdown, which this is very typical for hard rock. Brazil is a very common country for rock genres and rock adjacent like metal. They just love that. And Brazil is also a very high user base country on Spotify. So that checks out. And also I do like seeing country variety because that's how Spotify really is. Spotify is a global app, and very, very, very rarely do you have a playlist that is just dominated by one country. Usually it's all different countries mixed together. The thing that I do see the most with bot lists is actually when it's all the United States combined with a follower count that doesn't make sense. So seeing a variety of countries here is actually perfect. And then down below, another reason that I love this tool, Artist Tools, is that it gives each playlist a discovery score. A discovery score is really important if you're trying to get discovered as an artist, and they rank this playlist as amazing. This is out of 100, so 95 out of 100 is the score for how well this playlist is doing in causing new artists to get discovered. And that's a combination of the amount of traffic with a lot of other elements. So this is a really great high traffic playlist that is not showing any signs of bot activity, yet my client did get that notification from their distributor that there were bots on their account. And I finally found it. It was this playlist right here, the Rockin' Party Anthems, the one that we did not place him on. I ran it in the same tool, Artist Tools, and it's actually hilarious how different the analysis is. I'm gonna pull that up for you right now. All right, here it is. And the first thing I want you to notice is that this playlist only has 502 followers. And if you go back to the very first screenshot that my client provided over here, this playlist, Party Rock Anthems, provided him 545 listeners on a playlist that only has about 500 followers. So that's already wild because, first of all, this playlist is not established. It's providing a ton of listeners without any real user base. And immediately once I I plugged this into artist tools, all of the flags were firing off. It was likely botted. All indicators showed an anomaly. Scrolling down, it shows a bunch of fraud history. These spike downs are Spotify removing the fake followers from the account, and the audience distribution, while it's a small playlist and this could be real, is usually a sign that they're just running a VPN to major US countries, Chicago, Los Angeles, Denver, New York, right? And they're getting the plays that way. This is not really where hard rock listeners are going to be concentrated. The concentration for hard rock is Brazil, it's in Portugal, and sometimes in Germany. This is missing that. And then scrolling further down, it does have a perfect discovery score, but it's with the notice that this playlist is marked as botted. Growth from this playlist might not come from real listeners. So it's gaming the system, and it was clear as day that the one playlist that we did not provide our client was the reason for his notification in his distributor. And I mentioned earlier that he got on 3 playlists, so just to cover my bases, I wanted to show you the other playlist that we got him on, and I'll pull that up really quick. Here it is. This is the playlist, and it does have a Spanish SEO title because, once again, there's a high concentration of the right listeners in those countries, and so this is another way that curators can provide a lot more intentional listens because they're targeting different geographical hubs for the genre. So this is an intentional SEO choice, and it worked. I mean, this playlist has grown 67,000 followers organically, and that's the power of SEO lists. Other curators who have to use bots to get traffic to your songs, they don't understand this kind of stuff. And so when I see a title that's like this, I know that they're doing the research to get into the search, right? Because people who use Spotify are using the search bar to look for music, and the follower growth speaks for itself. So this is already a great sign. Incredible follower growth, no dips, no nothing. And then the same playlist over in artist tools has an overwhelmingly positive, if not perfect, analysis. So same playlist growing 8% month over month. 4 indicators, 0 of them are flagged. And here we have a nice spread of different countries in countries that make sense for the genre. So Brazil makes total sense for hard rock. Chicago, that's awesome that they were able to pull that off, get into some Chicago US search rankings. Mexico City also makes perfect sense, so good that they were able to rank for that. And then Australia is incredible diversity in a list. Honestly, this is extremely good when you see something like this. And scrolling down below, okay, this makes sense to me. A perfect discovery score, fantastic playlist overall, has perfect diversity in the countries and just incredible growth. A perfect example of a quality, high traffic SEO list with a great SEO title that's perfectly targeted. It's ranking really high. So that's the evidence I provided to my client, and he totally understood. He tracked with me with the data every step of the way, and he asked me, how do I get my song removed from it? And thankfully, there is a process inside of Spotify for artists. You can read the Spotify documentation about how to do it, but you can report playlists inside of Spotify for artists, and you should do it whenever you perform a proper analysis to confirm that there is bot activity on a playlist. Don't do it just because you think it, because you could be wrong without going through these steps. Now, just for fun, I want to show you a different bot playlist that a different client who was in a very similar situation had on his profile, because he was using multiple playlisting services in addition to us. And we got him on playlists. He signed up for someone else, a competitor of ours. They got him on playlists, and it was a big mess for me to sort through because I was the only one willing to take the time and help him get to the bottom of who was jeopardizing his music career and who is lying to him at the end of the day. Because all of these playlisting services, they promise the same thing, but they don't actually deliver the real thing. And so this playlist, I had it saved because it was such a picture-perfect example of what it looks like when Spotify removes the followers from a playlist. And it's not smooth. It's not going up to the right like the real deal, right? If I zoom out, you can see that this curator is fighting Spotify every step of the way, right? Huge spikes, like literally he'll grow 15,000 followers in one day. And Spotify, who has some of the best bot detection algorithms of any streaming platform, is constantly removing these accounts, and he's adding more and then they're removing them. And it looks like a sawtooth blade, the way that it just goes up and down and there's jagged edges. And you can see that the more bots that this user adds onto their playlist, the more Spotify takes away. And it dropped almost down to just 1,000 in this landmark cleansing of Spotify, right? And so this playlist was given to one of my other clients through a paid service. Like, people are charging artists and getting them on this fake garbage. And no one's going to know unless if you have these paid tools. Thankfully I do, and we check all of the playlists for our clients before we place them. And I don't want to get overly cocky by saying that we're always going to be perfect every single time in every single situation. Accidents could happen and something might fall through the cracks. But what I'm noticing whenever a client signs up with us and signs up with another service is that it's not an accident. Multiple placements, playlist upon playlist upon playlist from the other guys are showing these signs of follower activity. This is the sign of a bot playlist, guys, okay? Clear as day. And I'll throw it into artist tools as well. I don't even mind showing the information for this curator because honestly, I'm glad that there is Spotify curation. I'm glad that Spotify has this dynamic to it where artists can hire influencers to back their tracks. It's a cool thing. It's really unique about Spotify. But if someone is faking it, if they're lying about what kind of audience influence they can provide, it's no different than someone having a fake Instagram following and saying, oh yeah, I'll post about your brand. I have 1 million followers, but the followers are all fake, right? So that's the reason why I don't even mind showing this information, because if you are saying that you have an audience, if you're saying that you're a curator, but you're providing this to the artist in exchange, that's dishonest. And thankfully we have the tools now to know it right away, especially if you're trained and you're looking for it. So now you are trained, you can sign up for these same tools and do the same type of analysis that I do. It's really not that hard once you know where to go and what to look for. And yeah, this gym music playlist, very botted. So with that, I hope this video was helpful to you. And if you are someone who needs playlisting services that are legit, that are actually going to drive high quality streams to your music without the risk of bots, and you want a team that's knowledgeable and trustworthy, then I would love to throw my hat in the ring. I'll leave a link in the description below where you can learn more about our Spotify playlisting service. It goes even more in depth about our strategy, our approach to everything, even more in depth than what I said in this video. And on that page in the description, you can also sign up for your own campaign, and we'll work on your music to get you pitched to curators, these influencers that own high traffic playlists, and we'll get you placed in those playlists or your money back. It's zero risk. And if you want to give it a shot, click that link in the description below. And thanks so much for watching to the end of this video. I hope that this video was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.